Bullet came through.
A Laurel County man was arrested after police say his target practice turned his neighborhood into more like a war zone.
The search for a man accused of kidnapping one woman and trying to kidnap another woman is over.
There's a man that just jumped in my truck and put a gun to my head.
We are hearing the 911 calls from his victims.
And a warning for renters. Scammers are making websites that look like registration sites for Section 8 housing. How to keep your money safe.
This is WKYT News at 5:30.
Good evening. He says his wife could have been killed. Tonight, a Laurel County man faces charges after deputies say he was carelessly shooting his gun.
Deputies say Calvin Barger was target shooting in his backyard, but instead of hitting a target, his bullets were hitting homes. Our Phil Pendleton talked to a neighbor who says one of the bullets came into his home. He has our top story at 5:30.
The suspect in all of this is Calvin Earl Barger, brought here to the Laurel County Jail from his home on Barberville Road, where neighbors tell me that at one point yesterday, they felt like they were in a war zone.
Bullet came through.
David Lockhart walked outside Sunday afternoon to what he said was the sound of bullets whizzing through the air.
I mean, they were zipping over our heads and everything. We had to duck down, and I mean, it was pitiful.
He said they heard gunshots coming from their neighbor's yard about 100 yards away.
Well, my first inkling was, I thought they had to be drunk or something like that, because, a bullet's going to travel. And that's the first thing come to my mind.
He and others called for help, and police arrested their neighbor, 42-year-old Calvin Earl Barger. One round hit a neighbor's roof, but Lockhart says he and his wife were both close to being hit by the round that came into their home.
Well, he deserved it. I mean, because my wife had just got through using the bathroom. I mean, she could have been killed.
Barger was charged with a felony offense of first-degree wanton endangerment in addition to criminal mischief. He was expected to enter a not guilty plea this morning in Laurel County District Court. In Laurel County, Phil Pendleton, WKYT.
Police say anyone target practicing on their property should make sure an earthen embankment is behind them and not open space.
Spring-like weather still sticking around, and just like springtime in Kentucky, tracking storms moving in as well.
Yeah, we could see some strong winds and even some hail tonight. Meteorologist Jim Caldwell has an early check of your forecast.
And we've actually seen some of that, guys, already here today with some of the thunderstorms that were pressing through parts of eastern Kentucky. Still holding on to the rain chances out there right now. A wave of energy is passing overhead, and it keeps the rain alive. One of the more intense thunderstorms that we have left over is hanging out right now across parts of Morgan County and also into Wolfe County. That's the strongest area. A broader view shows you this is a decent little wave of energy with even tornadoes, by the way, spotted along that northern line where you see all that lightning across parts of Ohio. But what we're entering is a very active period where we're going to track more rounds of showers and some thunderstorms out there. Here are my evening concerns. I think we'll keep the gusty winds around, even some small hail, because it doesn't take a whole lot this time of year to get some of that hail down. High water issues maybe on some of those area roadways. That could be one of the one of the higher concerns, especially in parts of eastern Kentucky where they picked up more rounds of rain. Now, this is just one of several that are going to try to make a run at us over the next few days. We'll track all of them coming up in the full forecast here in just a few minutes.
New at 5:30, police have just announced an arrest in a violent kidnapping that happened outside a Kentucky Walmart. LaGrange police arrested 31-year-old Patrick Moore on numerous charges, including kidnapping, attempted kidnapping, and robbery. He's charged with 2 incidents last week, one at a Walmart and another at a gym. Jennifer Palumbo's at the live desk now with the new developments and the 911 calls from that scene. Jennifer?
Sam, Patrick Moore's arrest comes less than a week after a kidnapping and attempted kidnapping at 2 Oldham County businesses. Planet Fitness surveillance cameras captured the attempted kidnapping in LaGrange last Thursday. A woman told police she was sitting in her car outside the gym when a man with a gun told her to open the door. She drove off and wasn't hurt. Then hours later, police say Moore kidnapped a woman at gunpoint from a nearby Walmart.
I was sitting in my car getting my workouts ready, and I locked my doors because I saw him. And I didn't see him for a few minutes, and then he came up and had a gun.
Calm down for me. What's going on?
There's a man that just jumped in my truck and put a gun to my head.
Police say after Moore jumped in that second woman's car and kidnapped her, he forced her to withdraw cash from an ATM. Moore will answer to charges including robbery, kidnapping, wanton endangerment, and being a convicted felon in possession of a firearm. At the live desk, Jennifer Palumbo, WKYT.
Jennifer, thank you. And this is Moore's second arrest in just 4 days. Kentucky State Police arrested him on unrelated drug charges last Friday at his home in Henry County.
A Central Kentucky police officer accused of stealing from his own department has been indicted. Our county-by-county coverage at 5:30 begins in Shelby County. On Friday, a grand jury indicted Simpsonville police officer Terry Putnam on several charges, including theft by unlawful taking over $10,000 and tampering with physical evidence. Putnam was arrested in January. He's accused of stealing $30,000 in cash, drugs, and handguns from evidence lockers. In Boyd County, state police are looking for a man wanted for an armed robbery. Troopers say a man walked into the Clark's Pump and Shop on US 60 on Saturday night, pulled out a gun, and demanded cash. He did get away with some money, but the clerk there was not hurt. Troopers say the man is about 5'5" with a heavy build. He was wearing a dark-colored baseball cap, jeans, and a long-sleeve camouflage shirt. And in Pike County, state police are investigating a deadly crash that happened over the weekend. Troopers say 34-year-old Billy Diamond was driving east on Kentucky 197 in Elkhorn City and lost control of his vehicle. His vehicle then flipped into a ditch. Diamond was pronounced dead at the scene. Troopers do not believe alcohol was a factor in that crash.
The case of a Louisville police officer who shot and killed a man last year will not be presented to a grand jury. Police in Louisville say that Officer Nathan Blanford shot a man who was charging at him with a flagpole outside of a Louisville store. The incident was caught on surveillance video from the store. It shows the man, 35-year-old Dang Magnon, accused of grabbing a woman's purse and punching her. Blanford is seen talking to Magnon, and then a few moments later, Magnon starts swinging a metal flagpole. Police say Blanford shot Magnon twice, killing him. A Louisville TV show reports that the Commonwealth's Attorney's Office will not pursue any criminal charges in that case. And a police officer in Kenton County has been cleared of any wrongdoing in a deadly traffic stop shooting last year. Police say that new body camera video helped convince prosecutors that Ludlow police officer Samuel Hodge was justified in shooting Charles Reynolds on December 22nd. In the video, Reynolds refuses to remove his hand from his waistband, and then Reynolds and Officer Hodge exchanged gunfire. Reynolds was killed, and the officer was shot in the arm.
New tonight, a Johnson County native is planning a free concert for later this month. Country Music Award winner Chris Stapleton will be in Paintsville on March 24th. Free tickets were available as of this afternoon, but there is already a waiting list. The concert will be at 7 p.m. at Johnson Central High School. Stapleton's debut album, Traveler, was released in 2015. He won the CMAs for the Best Male Vocalist, New Artist, and Album of the Year. A popular comedian has announced her new spring tour dates, and it includes a trip to the Bluegrass. Amy Schumer will be in Lexington at Rupp Arena on Saturday, April 30th. Tickets will go on sale for her Lexington show starting at 10 a.m. on March 18th. Tickets are available at Ticketmaster.com and Ticketmaster outlets and the Rupp Arena box office.
Authorities want to warn people who are looking for federal housing help to be careful of fraudulent offers and websites. These are scams talking about fees and taking fees and personal information from unsuspecting victims. This is the ad. For consumers making less than $30,000 a year, this ad claims it can help save renters hundreds of dollars with a Section 8 voucher.
They had to send a $10 check or money order for the initial application. They were notified that they were approved and they needed to send $299 for the second phase.
Section 8 housing is a federally funded assistance program to almost 5 million low-income households in the U.S. Postal inspectors say these ads were placed in penny saver magazines and got a lot of attention. More than 250 victims lost thousands of dollars with the scam.
The victims were extremely sad and scared because the money that they paid to the scam was money that they could have had right now to pay for their current rent.
Postal inspectors caught up with James Bizzuto after an employee he hired thought something was wrong.
They worked at this company for about approximately 1 week. They saw a lot of money coming in and nobody was receiving what they were doing. They felt like it was a scam. As far as we know, that he was just taking the money and spending it on himself.
It is unfortunate that we do have folks that do these type of scams. Sometimes they prey on the very elderly, the very poor, folks that don't know any better or don't have this information, and that is a shame.
HUD officials want consumers to know there is no upfront fee to apply for Section 8 vouchers. In order to make sure you're talking to the right people, call your local government officials directly.
I urge everyone to please be diligent about a lot of the phone calls or any mail, anyone approaching you. I guess the best advice that I would give, if it sounds too good to be true, it probably is not true.
James Bizzuto pled guilty to mail fraud charges in this case and is awaiting sentencing.
Kentucky's newest state representatives will be sworn in tomorrow as the House is preparing to vote on their budget.
And tomorrow is make it or break it day for some presidential candidates. Bill Bryant takes a look at the polls in the bottom line.
Good evening. The plot may thicken tomorrow in Frankfort as new members of the state legislature are sworn into office, and the House is expected to unveil its budget proposal that apparently will not include cuts to higher education. Democrats will extend the majority to 53 to 47 tomorrow after taking 3 of the 4 seats up for grabs in special elections last week. The swearing in for the new members has been moved up to 9 a.m. so they can vote on a budget proposal that apparently will not include Governor Bevin's request for cuts to higher ed. The governor has indicated that he will not sign a budget without the cuts to colleges and universities, as he earmarks about $1 billion for underfunded retirement pensions. The retirement pensions for lawmakers themselves is getting some new scrutiny. An investigation by the Associated Press looked at how Kentucky legislator pensions are kept secret from the public. A few other states also follow the secrecy practice. Some lawmakers have also found it nearly impossible to exempt themselves from getting a pension, even if they don't want one. The pay for lawmakers while they're serving is public information. Tomorrow could be make it or break it for 2 candidates trying to deny the Republican presidential nomination to Donald Trump. In his home state of Florida, some polls now show Marco Rubio running 3rd behind Trump and Ted Cruz. But in Ohio, Governor John Kasich has pulled ahead of Trump in some polling. Kasich predicts a win in the Buckeye State, which he says will set off a chain reaction. North Carolina and Illinois also holding Republican and Democratic primaries tomorrow. The Republican National Committee is launching a campaign to try to derail any candidate for the U.S. Supreme Court that President Obama may put forward. The president may name his pick to replace the late Justice Antonin Scalia this week. The effort to discredit the president's nominee will be run by the GOP's opposition research group. Bill Bryant, WKYT.
Now, registering to vote here in Kentucky just got a little easier. Today, Kentucky's Secretary of State announced that Kentuckians can now register to vote online.
The website GoVoteKentucky.com allows people to register, update their information, and change their party affiliation. Kentucky already allows military members and people living overseas to register online.
This is a presidential election year, and our hope and goal is to make sure that all eligible Kentuckians have access to the ballot box. And today is a historic day as we make a transformative change that will change the way, in a positive manner, that all Kentuckians have access to the ballot box.
Again, that website is GoVoteKentucky.com. The Commonwealth will join 29 other states in offering online voter registration.